Now, there's a documentary. I can't remember the name of it, but it is out now. It recaps the George Floyd thing, and they railroaded that cop. But I don't think everything is binary. Not everything. Some things are absolutely crystal clear, right? A guy robs a store and then attacks a cop who tries to stop him. Black and white. You try to take a cop's weapon and you get shot. This is like so cut and dry to me. Now, the George Floyd thing wasn't as cut and dry. It was sometimes everybody can be wrong. If that makes sense. And we don't do well with that in our culture because we're so left-right. And I do think that there are distinct left and rights in a lot of ways, right? Like I think there's distinct ideologies, and not all ideologies are created equal. Yeah. But we don't do well in American culture with two things being true at once. We don't know what to do with that a lot of times anymore. Right. And so we want it to be one way or the other, and we want it to be super neat and clean. Yeah. When dynamic situations are just that. They're dynamic. Yeah, because
with the George Floyd thing, it's either he was an angel and an absolute pillar of the community that was brutally murdered and suffocated, right, or on the flip side, he was a degenerate criminal that was awful that deserved to die. And like that literally is the stories you hear on both sides of the aisle. You know, diehard conservative, like oh, he was awful, and then on the flip side, in the black community and the liberal, like he was their MLK. Yeah. And so both can be true, by the way. Derek Chauvin, I think was the Chauvin. Yeah. He could have made a very big mistake and did something wrong that ended up killing someone. And on the flip side, George Floyd could have done wrong. Then both can be true is pretty much what you're saying, right?
Both people, I mean, there's no doubt George Floyd was going to die that day. Whether he died of his drug overdose that blew his heart up or not. Like George Floyd was headed for death that day. And his encounter with the police sped that up. In the back of the car, there's all sorts of like different aspects to that. I think where Chauvin messed up is instead of rendering aid to the level that he could during that situation, he chose to stay in the position that he was. The whole knee on the neck thing it's just not even real. It had nothing to do with his death. That was an easy camera thing that people wanted to go after. Yeah, but it's a very real not picture. What caused his death at all. But I think the officer was definitely wrong by not going through the motions of rendering aid where it could be rendered, even if the ultimate outcome was different. How different would that situation have been if he pulled him out of the car and then what was perceived even was just like this officer's trying to help him or getting whatever. No one thinks about the fact that the ambulance went to the wrong place. And that's why it was so long. People think, oh, the cops didn't call the ambulance. Oh, no, they did. The ambulance went to the wrong location. What a time to be wrong, huh? In this country's that's history. What I'm saying is like we just in American culture, we just love things to be neat, clean, one way or the other. And in that situation, sometimes it's just a giant crap sandwich. Yeah. And it's just like
this sucks.
He was wrong. He did something wrong. They did something wrong. It's just how it shook out. And no one person bears everything in that. So everyone needs to be able to take responsibility for the piece that they played in that. So it's not always black and white. And it's not always there. And cops shouldn't always just blindly support just because they're cops, you know. Everybody should basically be working under the premise of the benefit of the doubt until facts are
innocent out, until proven guilty is really what our country is built on.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's still a thing.
It's an important principle.
Yeah, it's very much an important principle. Which, I mean, heavy topic. And the people listening, I mean, like really when I invited, Mike to come on, I really did want to talk about real issues today, because I know that if I talked to a cop and we didn't address social issues, they'd be like, Dylan, this was an opportunity for you to ask questions from a cop that actually like saw these things unfold. And I do think it's interesting, like, we live in a world where people are so quick to make judgment calls, and people want to see that, like, that person that was bad paraded for them to feel better about the situation. Mm-hmm. People need to see that justice being served, or like that, they have to see the person that they feel like was guilty behind bars so they can sleep at night. And we live in such a quick to judge, quick to condemn culture that when we do have really awful events of people dying, whether it was a legitimate thing or whether it was wrong, people are so quick to just be like, oh, we have to find our victim. We have to find the person that we have to blame for everything. But I do think what you said, innocent until proven guilty, that is such a good way to live. When you read an article, when you hear a story, you're like, this was one outlet that I heard this from. This isn't everything. And getting into the habit of learning more, because I learned more about that story, and I did tons of research on this story, and I didn't even know, I had no idea the ambulance thing. That's something I heard for the first time. I had no idea that to be true. But anyway, I just think, man, I just really wish we could, as a society and a community, could really think what's best for people, and be slow to judge, but that's just not where we're at right now. And I don't know if it's going to get any better anytime soon.